Week 1 is in the books. That means it's power ranking time. We start at number 32 with the Miami Dolphins. I do not have words. It was the worst performance any team had in week 1. Even worse than the Giants. I'll put them at 31 as well. Disaster. Truly disastrous performance. There was no good aspect of the Dolphins in week 1. The offense stunk. The defense stunk. The defense allowed a historic performance from Daniel Jones in the Indianapolis Colts offense. The Miami offense scored a touchdown on a 4th and 11 swing pass. When it comes to that is your one highlight of the game, and it's a bad decision that Devon Achane makes you right on. The worst team in football, the Miami Dolphins. Number 31, the New York Giants. They weren't expected to do well. However, a lot of that was due to the schedule. There was some optimism surrounding the Giants this season. Malik Neighbors, a really talented defensive line, Javon Holland coming over from Miami. There are reasons to be optimistic. And then Russell Wilson pooped all over them. A disaster class of a week 1. They scored 6 points. Malik Neighbors was fine. Russell Wilson was not fine. And it would be one thing if they lost, 24-21 to the Commanders, but they lose 21-6. They look pretty horrible doing it. It's so bad that Jackson Dart might be starting here pretty soon. From one potential rookie quarterback to a rookie that actually started week 1, Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. Honestly, this is just a talent deficient team, but more than a talent deficient team, Brian Callahan is not an NFL caliber head coach right now. Some major errors, some not knowing rules, like what is a catch? I mean, I know we don't know what a catch is, like media folks, fans, but the NFL should have 32 head coaches that know what a catch is. Brian Callahan, not on that list. Number 29, this is an unfortunate ranking for the Saints because I thought they had sporadic pieces of good play. Eric McCoy back at center, he was really strong. Spencer Rattler was fine. Not the worst quarterback performance of the week. Probably in the middle third if you're ranking 1 to 32. Chris Olave died again, so that's unfortunate. Defensively, they played reasonably well. You only lose by 7 against a much better Arizona team. You had a chance to win at the end, so I did like what I saw, but I think this is just a usual bad team, and it just happens that the Dolphins were even worse. The Titans might be even worse, and the Giants looked like a total disaster. So I think the Saints are probably the best bet to stay in the bottom 5 the entire season. But hey, they showed some promise. And another team that showed some promise, particularly defensively, is the Cleveland Browns. Joe Flacco was fine. His 2 interceptions came off deflection, so that's receiver fault, not quarterback fault. Defensively, they were tremendous. It was one of the best halves any defense has had in 25 years. The problem is your kicker, Andre Schmitz, misses an extra point and a field goal, and you lose. Unfortunate. Browns aren't going to win too many games this year, but hey, they did look okay week 1. Some cause for concern for the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll get to them. And to wrap up this final tier, another team that looked like hot garbage, the Carolina Panthers. And we're going to draw a tier delineation line. These are called the scrubs. These are the Bozo Brigade, if you will. These are just bad football teams right now. Bryce Young, any goodwill that he worked up after a pretty solid end to the 2024 season, all of it's wiped away. He was looking at the Jumbotron, throwing interceptions. Just a bad day all around. They got run all over. Tedero McMillan looked pretty good, so we'll take that win. Starting the second tier, this is a tier of teams that I'll call the middling middle, that I don't have loads of confidence in this order. You could jumble this up, and really that's the point of the tiers, is that are the Dolphins that much worse than the Panthers? On Sunday, yes, but I don't think in the grand scheme of things, they're all equivalent-ish talent levels. I think the Dolphins should be better, but they were so bad week 1, I got to drop them. But we enter the second segment here, and a little rapid fire with 2 AFC East teams. the Patriots in 26th and the Jets in 25th. I don't have a strong conviction that the Jets are better than the Patriots. I do think they gave off better vibes, though, that they lost to a good team, a team in the top half of the league, while the Patriots lost to a team that, spoiler alert, are coming up. So there's that. There's the Patriots were 2-point favorites. The Jets were underdogs. There's the way they lost. The Patriots were kind of cooked for a majority of the game, while the Jets, you lose on a 60-yard field goal by Chris Boswell. A lot of times you're winning that game. Then you have the play at the end, Ramsey hitting Garrett Wilson. So overall, I thought the Jets acquitted themselves pretty well. The Patriots, they were sluggish. Drake May had the classic Drake May interception. So is this going to stick? I don't think so. I think long-term the Patriots are going to be a bit better than the Jets. But the Jets' offensive line played very well, and Justin Fields played extremely, extremely well, especially as a passer for once. Moving on to the first team that actually won, that is the Las Vegas Raiders. They beat the Patriots. Geno. Whoo, boy, that man looked good. Shout out to Geno, over 300 yards in his Raider debut. Pete Carroll, Raider debut, got the W. Ashton Jeanty in his NFL debut did not look great. He did find the end zone, but 21 touches for 40 yards. Very Trent Richardson-y. I am a little concerned. Brock Bowers is banged up right now. Hopefully he'll be back. Jacoby Myers cooked his former team. It was good to see Jack Besh get involved. Trey Tucker had a touchdown. And defensively, they looked okay. Not like the 85 Bears or anything, but they looked okay. Speaking of the Bears, they come in at number 23 after a disappointing finish to Monday Night Football, up by 2 scores, and they gag it away. So Ben Johnson, much like Matt Nagy, gagging away multi-score leads in their debuts against a division rival in a primetime slot. Maybe the Bears are cursed. I don't know. That might be what we're going to. Caleb looked fine. The rest of the offense functioned. Caleb had some really. I think it's safe to say that Caleb Williams is now an inaccurate quarterback. Can he fix it? Maybe. This was only his 18th NFL start, but it's already 18. You know, J.J. McCarthy on the other side, that was his first start, and he got into a hole early and then balled out. We'll get to Minnesota in a bit. Number 22, a team with a heartbreaking loss. Color me shocked. The Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix. That man has all the dog in the world. Drake London. Dog, but you got to catch touchdowns, man. You got to hold on to the football. Bijan looked great as a receiver. Had a nice little 50-yard screen touchdown as a runner. Not great. The Falcons really did miss Caleb McGarry, their right tackle, out for the season. So concerns there. Defensively, they kind of got after Baker for once. So half of a pass rush W. They'll take that. Probably the best pass rushing performance they've had in 10 years. A team that surprised me, the Dallas Cowboys. They were really able to run the ball. They were a terrific game from Javonte Williams, one of 2 running backs to score 2 touchdowns in week 1. Dak Prescott, man, he was hooping. CeeDee Lamb let him down a couple times, but over the course of a season, if Dak's making those throws, I trust CeeDee to bring them down. And defensively, they looked a lot better than I thought they would. I thought that was a team that had the least defensive talent in the NFL after the Parsons trade. But hey, they played up. Fair play to them. So congratulations. The Cowboys are sitting at 21, and they could move up. Number 20, a team that I was excited to see until the fourth quarter came. The Seattle Seahawks. Defensively, they looked terrific. They had Brock Purdy flustered. They had Christian McCaffrey bottled up, at least on the ground game. And they were looking good. And then the fourth quarter came, and now you're getting cooked by 5th-string tight ends with George Kittle out. Really unfortunate way to lose. Did they deserve to win? No. San Francisco had multiple missed kicks. There was a block in there, a missed kick. So you have your concerns there. But Seattle, the best is yet to come, I think. Let's go to a team that won this week, the Indianapolis Colts. They probably had the best overall performance offensively, defensively. Daniel Jones was terrific. 2 rushing touchdowns, one of 4 quarterbacks, actually, with 2 rushing touchdowns this week. He was dropping dimes, Danny Dimes, living up to his name. Jonathan Taylor had a perfectly fine day. Michael Pittman looked like a real NFL wide receiver. Alec Pierce had a nice little pirouette catch along the sideline. And defensively, man, Cam Bynum came in. His first game as a Colt looked great. And yeah, the Colts have surprised me to this point. Granted, it's 60 minutes of football, but they looked pretty good. Another team that won in the AFC South, the Jacksonville Jaguars, really took it to Carolina. Travis Hunter, welcome to the NFL, buddy. I should have bet his over catches, not over yards. That's a oops on me. And Trevor, I think we need to have a real conversation with Trevor Lawrence. He wasn't good. He was okay. He has not developed like the player he should be, he could be. It is game one in a new offense. This is fair. So Jags fans, let me know what you thought. Just a little disappointing from Lawrence. Now, Travis Etienne, that boy was cooking. He saw his brother on the opposition sideline, and he was cooking. So he looked great. Travis had some nice plays. Brian Thomas, he's on the back of a milk carton. Defensively, they looked pretty good. Oluokun was tremendous in the middle. So they won. They start 1-0. Big win. All right, Arizona. My pick to win the NFC West. A 7-point win against the Saints is not exactly an ideal start to the season. Kyler didn't look great. Trey McBride, welcome back, buddy. Good performance from him. Marvin Harrison had a nice big play. And James Conner was a little disappointing. He did score, so that helps. Trey Benson, welcome. My fantasy team, my dynasty league, thanks you for your services. Defensively, again, this is a team that is meshing in more talent. Will Johnson looked fabulous, by the way. He was an honorable mention in our team of the week. And Arizona, they're a swing team. They're really the epitome of what it means to be in this middling mid, if you will. And that's actually the end of tier 2. The middling mid from 26 to 17. All right, we head into the top half with the Houston Texans, a team that wildly disappointed me. 9 points. I know you're without Joe Mixon for a while, but man, Stroud looked a little shaky. Collins and Higgins, they looked fine. It's just there was something missing, and I can't really put my finger on it. It might rhyme with offensive flying. Maybe that's the problem. I will say, first game under a new play caller, Nick Caley. So, like the Jags, there is some hope, but not a great first outing. And then Denver was really shocking to me. And this is the defense looked good. Granted, you're going up against a rookie quarterback and a largely incompetent offensive coach or a head coach in Brian Callahan. But offensively, man, Bo Nix looked rough. Multiple bad picks, multiple just tossing the ball to the defense, and it was a really brutal watch. They're a lot better than the Titans. This is a huge roster disparity, but when you go into the season with the expectations the Broncos had as a team that people were picking, real life people were picking to win the AFC West, people were doing that. People said Bo Nix was going to be top 10. His coach said, Sean Payton said that. And they do that against a team they are much better than. I have my concerns with the Broncos, and they all are Bo Nix. Number 14, another team with massive quarterback concerns. It's actually the Detroit Lions. I think outside of quarterback, they are still one of the most talented rosters in the NFL, but Jared Goff there's a stat going around. If you take out games that his offensive coordinator or offensive play caller was Sean McVay or Ben Johnson, Jared Goff is 0-19-1. Folks, that's not good. That's not good. And that's not necessarily all Goff's fault. They did play a very good Packers team this week, so I don't think they're not going to go like 0-17 this year, obviously. But man, it was a rough go of it for Goff. He's just tossing check downs to Jahmyr Gibbs. He had 10 catches for like 30 yards. Shout out to Isaac Tesla. He had the catch of the weekend. And that is a bummer if you're the Lions, that you have this really talented roster, a great backfield duo, really good wide receiver core, really good tight end. There were some offensive line issues. I will say that. Losing Frank Ragnow hurt a lot. And then defensively, they have a talented bunch. Hutchinson, Joseph, Branch, DJ Reed. And it all is for naught if Jared Goff is Jared Goof. Number 13, a much more positive conversation here to be had with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Are they going to the Super Bowl? Maybe. Aaron Rodgers, 4 touchdowns in his debut. I would advise you not watch the film because they're 4 gimmies. But 4 touchdowns is 4 touchdowns. Fair enough. Jonnu Smith scored in his debut. Great to see that. Offensive line really struggled. Broderick Jones, what are you doing, big dog? But one guy who did not struggle is Jalen Ramsey, a menace in society. Great coverage. Annihilated Garrett Wilson on the I gotta have it play. And shout out to the Boz, Chris Boswell, 60-yard game winner from the parking lot at MetLife. We move in the AFC North as well, the Cincinnati Bengals. The conversation is very different from Pittsburgh, even though it's really the inverse, frankly, that Pittsburgh's offense looked great, defense looked horrendous. Cincinnati's defense looked great, offense looked really bad. I don't know how much of that is the week 1 factor, how much of that is playing the Browns, your nemesis, how much of it is playing Myles Garrett. Offensively, man, Burrow didn't do much. Chase was locked in a closet. Higgins was locked in a closet. Chase Brown was locked in a closet. Defensively, it was more of a don't let the Browns. I don't know how much of the defensive performance was Browns and how much of it was the Bengals actually played pretty well. Trey Hendrickson looked great. This is why you pay Trey Hendrickson. Is he going to do this next year? I don't know, but he's going to do it this year. He was fabulous. And Shamar Stewart came in. He was a productive player. So they finally got that deal done. He looked good. So Cincinnati can hang your hat on that. But beyond that, I did not think I was going to have offensive questions with the Bengals. And the defensive questions to this point have not been fully answered, given the Cleveland Browns of it all. And staying just outside of our top 10, we have the San Francisco 49ers, or as I belovedly call them, the San Francisco 49 IRs. George Kittle out for 4 weeks. Brock Purdy dealing with injuries. Juwan Jennings dealing with injuries. Brandon Ayuk dealing with injuries. Jake Moody off the roster. And frankly, that if Moody makes his kicks, you can probably argue them as a top 10 team. But Jake Moody, what a disaster of a 3rd-round pick. Just a lit it on fire, just miserable pick. Because at least if you're going to have a kicker miss, you'd rather it be an undrafted guy. So you have less of a sunk cost and more of a good player to a different position. But yeah, brutal game there. CMC looked great as a receiver. There was a little pinball play. So if the tush push ever gets banned, just saying, I would see if the 49ers pinball play can work. We'll get to another play in a little bit. We'll see if that can work too. Brock Purdy looked okay. He had some really male fortitude moments in the 4th quarter. So I like to see that. He had a bad interception, but I like that he answered the bell late in the game to pull it out for the Niners. Moving into the top 10, we have the Jersey team. Left hand up. Who are we? The Commanders. They just took care of business. Jaden looked good. Ja'Cory Cross-K Merritt. Bill. He looked great. Defensive line, Deron Payne. Shout out. I mean, just shout out Deron Payne, man. He looked a little washed last season. He was getting older, and he really showed out. Again, Giants offensive line, yes, but when they're on the schedule, you got to dominate. And number 9, one of the biggest wins of the week, the Los Angeles Chargers took their business down to Sao Paulo and took care of the defending AFC champions, Justin Herbert. As good of a game as I've ever seen Justin Herbert play. I am admittedly a Herbert skeptic. I want to like quarterbacks. I want to watch good quarterback play, but Herbert on Friday night That's what you want. That is exactly what you want. He was dropping dimes. He was really the engine of the offense. Amarin Hampton didn't look particularly great. Najee Harris only given one carry. But biggest moment of the game to ice the game, looks around, says, none of my guys are open. I'm going to take the initiative myself, pick up the first down. And he did. I said all off season in text threads that I'm in, group chats that I'm in, talking back with Jack, Justin Herbert, the next step for me was the 3rd and 5 stuff. The 3rd and got to have it, not trusting his teammates, trusting himself to pick up the first down. Josh Allen does that. Patrick Mahomes does that. Joe Burrow does that. Lamar Jackson does that. That is the next step to me for Justin Herbert, going from like the 5th best quarterback or the 10th best quarterback, wherever you have him in that range, to being a top elite guy, and not a guy that is just the internet loves, the social media quarterback, as Emmanuel Acho called him. Into the top half of the top quarter. All they do is win. The Minnesota Vikings with J.J. McCarthy. Holy aura, Batman. There's a clip from the Vikings post-game with McCarthy in the locker room. And I don't know what it is, but that man has it. He has won 16 straight games as a starter dating back to his career at Michigan. And man, oh man. You know, you're down 11 points on the road to a hated rival. NFL debut. And it's all good. It's all good. He was unbelievable in the fourth quarter. 91 PFF grade if you're so inclined in the fourth quarter. 3 touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 rushing. First debutant with 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown since Cam freaking Newton. Not a bad club to be a part of. And our last team in this tier here, the playoff hopefuls, probably playoff tier, that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll draw a little line here. Now, I'm high on the Bucs. I had the Bucs going to the Super Bowl, so they're a little low for that right now. But I do appreciate that they took care of business against Atlanta. Fair play there. Baker, 3 touchdowns, 1 sick throw to Emeka Egbuka. And it was a little shaky besides that. You do want to score more than 23 points against the Falcons. Just going to throw that out there. A part of that, they did get screwed by the kicker. He missed 2 kicks, but the Bucs looked fine. And frankly, I'll chalk this one up to it being a division game, week 1. So Tampa, like Cincinnati, and like say the Patriots. I'll give some benefit of the doubt that it's just a week 1 game. You know, you're knocking off some rust, and particularly with the Bengals and the Bucs, you're playing against a division opponent. Hopefully next week you'll be better. And into the Super Bowl contender tier, we're going to start with the LA Rams. Defensively, they looked phenomenal, allowed 9 points to the Texans. But it's more than that. Matthew Stafford, legitimately great. Not a fake great like people pretend he was in the playoff game. Legitimately awesome. Dropping dimes left and right. Puka went bananas. He had over 100 yards. And new defensive acquisition, Nate Landman. Remember that name. Just a phenomenal game. Forces a fumble in a key spot. So tremendous game for the Rams. And fair play to them. They're number 6, and they're in Super Bowl tier to me. Number 5, a team that is very, very familiar with the Super Bowl. That is the Kansas City Chiefs. I am going to give some benefit of the doubt, just as I did with the Bengals and the Bucs. Divisional game. In their case, they're on the road, out of the country even, in a game that Travis Kelce killed your number 1 wide receiver on the 3rd snap of the game. So Xavier Worthy comes in, he's running a crosser, and just gets leveled, separated shoulders. He's going to be out. Looks like he's going to be out a couple weeks, so that's going to be a big loss. But if the Chiefs have any solace, they should be fine. You have 15, you have 90. Trent McDuffie had a solid game. They'll be fine. I know they're 0-1. They're not the highest ranked team with a loss, but I will say they are last in the division by themselves. Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders all won. So there's that. They could start 0-2 with Philly next week. All right, number 4. Oh, man. Oh, freaking man. Hello. Jaden Reed, so back. Micah Parsons, so here. Jordan Love, he's fine. Great win. Just a phenomenal win by the Packers to just annihilate a division rival. This is a hyped up matchup all off season. Playoff teams versus playoff teams, division rivals, 15 win Lions, 11 win Packers. And the Packers said, bow. There we go. Just a tremendous performance by Green Bay. It was 27-6 at one point. Again, that's probably the most impressive win over a real and legitimate team any team had all week. With all due respect to the Colts, because they didn't face a legitimate opponent. Number 3, this one's a heartbreaker. Baltimore Ravens. Frankly, they were 4 minutes from being number 1. I will fully transparent. If they win, if they knock away a 4th down play, they win 40-25 over Buffalo, they would have been my number 1 team. But the Ravens were the Ravens. They blow it in the final 4 minutes, inexplicably, had a 99% chance to win the game. They lose in regulation. Shocking. And yeah, that's the concern. The Ravens have the best roster in the NFL. They are a team with no spine. They are a team with no, I don't want to say inadequate coaching, but illogical coaching. That might be the better option. 4th and 3, game on the line. What does Buffalo want you to do? Buffalo says, we want Josh Allen to have the football. The Ravens are like, here you go, Josh Allen. Here you go. Let's go ahead and carve up our defense. Listen, this is a team that's going to win double-digit games. They're going to make the playoffs, and then they're going to rip your heart out. So congratulations. You are permanently destined to be the bridesmaid to the bridesmaid. Number 2, the team that beat Baltimore, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen. I don't want to say this game had no bearing on the 2024 MVP. Shocking, I know. But Allen played like a real and legitimate MVP. He was tremendous. Ed Oliver was tremendous. For my money, the MVP and the Defensive Player of the Week. Keon Coleman showed out. James Cook was so good that it got Josh Allen credit for a 50-yard screen pass. Offensive line had some shakiness early on, but they really settled in later in the game. And yeah, in a game you allow 40 points, not ideal. Christian Benford allowed multiple touchdowns, so my all-pro pick is cooked. But a really solid win for Buffalo, and it is on the board the Bills go 17-0. I'm just going to be honest there. But their roster is not as good as the Philadelphia Eagles, the best team in the world. They have been since the Super Bowl. They are every bit as talented as the Ravens, maybe a tick behind in quarterback. Otherwise, they're practically there. And then they're as well coached of a team as there is in the league. They really coasted to a 24-20 win over Dallas. And to me, it never felt in doubt. It always felt like they were going to win that game. And that sense of inevitability is a large reason why they're number 1, and a large reason why I think they'll beat the Chiefs this week, and a large reason why they'll be number 1 up here for a while. Maybe they'll have a loss. Maybe they'll take a second loss, and then you'll move Buffalo and undefeated Buffalo ahead of them. But I don't know. Here is the 50-50 ball power rankings. From the Dolphins up at 32, the Eagles at number 1. Hope you guys enjoyed. Who do I have that's too low? Who do I have that's too high? I've been Splash. Peace.